Section 76 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Old Wichet and His Wife. This song still retains its popularity in the north of England, and when sung with humour never fails to elicit roars of laughter. A Scotch version may be found in Herd's Collection, 1769, and also in Cunningham's Songs of England and Scotland, London, 1835. We cannot venture to give an opinion as to which is the original, but the English set is of unquestionable antiquity. Our copy was obtained from Yorkshire. It has been collated with one printed at the Aldermary Press, and preserved in the third volume of the Roxburgh collection. The tune is peculiar to the song. Oh, I went into the stable, and there for to see. And there I saw 3 horses stand, by 1, by 2, and by 3. Oh, I called to my loving wife, and "Anon, kind sir," quoth she, "Oh, what do these 3 horses here, without the leave of me?" "Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? These are 3 milking cows my mother sent to me." "Ods bobs! Well done! Milking cows with saddles on! The like was never known." Old Wichet a cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. Oh, I went into the kitchen, and there for to see. And there I saw 3 swords hang, by 1, by 2, quoth she. Oh, I called to my loving wife, and "Anon, kind sir." "Oh, what do these 3 swords do here, without the leave of me?" "Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? These are 3 roasting spits my mother sent to me." "Ods bobs! Well done! Roasting spits with scabbards on! The like was never known." Old Wichet a cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. Oh, I went into the parlour, and there for to see. And there I saw 3 cloaks hang, by 1, by 2, and by 3. Oh, I called to my loving wife, and "Anon, kind sir," quoth she. "Oh, what do these 3 cloaks do here, without the leave of me?" "Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? These are 3 mantuas my mother sent to me." "Ods bobs! Well done! Mantuas with capes on! The like was never known." Old Wichet a cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. Oh, I went into the pantry, and there for to see. And there I saw 3 pair of boots, by 1, by 2, and by 3. Oh, I called to my loving wife, and "Anon, kind sir," quoth she. "Oh, what do these 3 pair of boots here, without the leave of me?" "Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? These are 3 pudding bags my mother sent to me." "Ods bobs! Well done! Pudding bags with spurs on! The like was never known." Old Wichet a cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. Oh, I went into the dairy, and there for to see. And there I saw 3 hats hang, by 1, by 2, and by 3. Oh, I called to my loving wife, and "Anon, kind sir," quoth she. Pray what do these three hats here without the leave of me? Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? These are three skimming dishes my mother sent to me. Odds bobs! Well done! Skimming dishes with hat bands on! The like was never known. Old Wichet cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. Oh! I went into the chamber, and there for to see, and there I saw three men in bed, by one, by two, and by three. Oh! I called to my loving wife, and anon, kind sir, quoth she, Oh! what do these three men here without the leave of me? Why, you old fool, blind fool, can't you very well see? They are three milking maids my mother sent to me. Odds bobs! Well done! Milking maids with beards on! The like was never known. Old Wichet a cuckold went out, and a cuckold he came home. End of Old Wichet and his Wife. Section 77 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, B.C. The Jolly Waggoner. This country song can be traced back a century at least, but is, no doubt, much older. It is very popular in the west of England. The words are spirited and characteristic. We may, perhaps, refer the song to the days of transition, when the waggon displaced the pack-horse. When first I went a waggoning did go, I filled my parents' hearts full of sorrow, grief, and woe. And many are the hardships that I have since gone through, and sing woe, my lads, sing woe. Drive on, my lads, I ho! And who wouldn't lead the life of a jolly waggoner? It is a cold and stormy night, and I'm wet to the skin. I will bear it with contentment, till I get unto the inn, and then I'll get a drinking, and with the landlord and his kin. And sing woe, my lads, sing woe! Drive on, my lads, I ho! And who wouldn't lead the life of a jolly waggoner? Now summer is a coming, what pleasure we shall see! The small birds are a singing on every green tree, The blackbirds and the thrushes are a whistling merrily. And sing woe, my lads, sing woe! Drive on, my lads, I ho! And who wouldn't lead the life of a jolly waggoner? Now Michaelmas is coming, what pleasure we shall find! It will make the gold to fly, my boys, like chaff before the wind. And every lad shall take his lass, so loving and so kind. And sing woe, my lads, sing woe! Drive on, my lads, I ho! And who wouldn't lead the life of a jolly waggoner? End of the Jolly Waggoner. Section 78 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, B.C. The Yorkshire Horse-dealer. This ludicrous and genuine Yorkshire song, the production of some unknown country minstrel, obtained considerable popularity a few years ago from the admirable singing of Emery, The incidents actually occurred at the close of the last century, and some of the descendants of Tommy Towers were resident at Clapton till within a very recent period, and used to take great delight in relating the laughable adventure of their progenitor. Abby Muggins is understood to be a sobriquet for a then Clapham innkeeper. The village of Clapham is in the west of Yorkshire, on the high road between Skipton and Kendal. Bane, ta Clapton town gate, lived an on Yorkshire tyke, who I dealing I horseflesh head ne'er met his like. Tore his pride that I aw the hard bargains he'd hit. He'd bit a girt money, but never been bit. This on Tommy Towers, be that nam he wore can head an oud carrion tit that wore sheer skin and ban. Ta hev killed him for to curse wa hev been quite as well, but 'twor Tommy opinion he'd dee on himself. Well, yen Abby Muggins, a neighbourin cheat, thought ta diddle on Tommy wad be a girl treat. He'd a horse too, 'twor war than on Tommy ye see, for neet afore than he'd throat proper ta dee. Thinks Abby, 'twould codger, I'd niver smoke ta trick, I'd swap with him my poor deid horse for his wick. And if Tommy a nobbut can happen ta trap, 'twill be a fine feather i Abiram cap. So to Tommy he goes, and the question he pops, Between thy horse and mine, prithee, Tommy, what swaps? What wilt give me ta boot, for mine's ta better horse still? Nut, said Tommy, I'll swap even hands, an ye will. Abby preached a long time aboot summat ta boot, insisting that his war the loveliest brute. But Tommy stuck fast where he first had begun, till Abby shook hands and said, Will Tommy, done. O Tommy, said Abby, I's sorry for thee, I thowt thou'd a hadden mair wit I the ee. Good luck wi' thy bargain, for my horse is dead. Hey, says Tommy, my lad, so is mine, and it's fleed. So Tommy got the better of ta bargain avast, and cam off with a Yorkshireman's triumph at last. For though oft twixt dead horses there's not much to choose, yet Tommy war richer by da hide and feuer shoes. End of the Yorkshire Horse-dealer. Section number 79 of the Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The King and the Countryman. This popular favorite is a mere abridgment and alteration of a poem preserved in the Roxburgh collection, called The King and Northern Man, shewing how a poor Northumberland man, tenant to the king, being wronged by a lawyer, his neighbour, went to the king himself to make known his grievance, to the tune of Slut, printed by and for Alex Melbourne, at the Stationers' Arms in Green Arbour Court, in the little Old Bailey. The Percy Society printed the King and Northern Man from an edition published in 1640. There is also a copy preserved in the Bagford collection, which is one of the imprints of W. Onley. The edition of 1640 has the initials of Martin Parker at the end, but, as Mr. Collier observes, there is little doubt that the story is much older than 1640. See preface to Percy Society's edition. There was an old chap in the West Country, a flaw in the lease the lawyers had found. 'Twas all about felling of 5 oak trees, and building a house upon his own ground. Right to laurel, 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 right to laurel la. Now this old chap to Lunnun would go, to tell the king a part of his woe, likewise to tell him a part of his grief, in hopes the king would give him relief. Now, when this old chap to Lunnun had come, he found the king to Windsor had gone, but if he'd known he'd not been at home, he'd danged his buttons if ever he'd come. Now when this old chap to Windsor did stump, the gates were barred, and all secure, but he knocked and thumped with his oaken clump, there's room within, for aye to be sure. But when he got there, how he did stare, to see the yeomen strutting about. He scratched his head, and rubbed down his hair, in the ear of a noble he gave a great shout, "Pray, Mr. Noble, show I the king, is that the king that I see there? I seed an old chap at Bartlemy fair, look more like a king than a chap there." "Well, Mr. King, pray how d'ye do? I gotten for you a bit of a job, which if you'd be so kind as to do, I gotten a summat for you in my fob." The king he took the lease in hand, to sign it too he was likewise willing, and the old chap to make a little amends, he lugged out his bag, and gave him a shilling. The king, to carry on the joke, ordered £10 to be paid down. The farmer he stared, but nothing spoke, and stared again, and he scratched his crown. The farmer he stared, to see so much money, and to take it up he was likewise willing, but if he'd a known king had got so much money, he'd danged his wig if he'd gin him that shilling. End of The King and the Countryman. Section 80 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Jone o' Greenfield's Ramble. The county of Lancaster has always been famed for its admirable patatis songs, but they are in general the productions of modern authors, and consequently, however popular they may be, are not within the scope of the present work. In the following humorous production, however, we have a composition of the last century. It is the oldest and most popular Lancaster song we have been able to procure, and unlike most pieces of its class, it is entirely free from grossness and vulgarity. Says Jone to his wife on a hot summer's day, "I'm resolved, I grinfit no longer to stay, for I'll go to Odwam as fast as I can. So fare thee well, Greenfield, and fare thee well, Nan. A soldier I'll be, and brave Odwam I'll see, and I'll ha' a battle with the French. Dear Jone, then, said Nan, and ho bitterly cried, Wilt be one o' the foot, or the meons to ride? Od sounds, wench, I'll ride other ass or a mule, I'll cure a griffin os black as the dew. Both clemmink and starvink, and never a fardent. Egod, it would drive any man mad. Jone, sin we comen in Greenfield for to dwell, we had mony a bare meal, a convera will tell. Bare meal? Egod, ay, that a vera will know. There's been 2 days this week, when had no at all. I'm vera near-sighted, afore I'll bide it. I'll fait other Spanish or French. Then says my Aunt Margaret, Ah, Jone, they're so hot, I'd ne'er go to Odwam, both I England I'd stop. It matters nowt, Madge, for to Odham I go, I'll na claim to death, both Sunbury shall know. First Frenchman I find, I'll tell him my mind, and if he na faint, he shall run. Then down the brew I come, for we livent at top, I thought I'd reach Oldharn, ere ever I'd stop. Ecod, hew they stared, when I getten to the mumps, Me owd hat I'd my hond, and may clogs full o' stumps. But I soon towd him I'm going to Oldham, and had a battle with the French. I kept and way thro' the Lone un to Oldham I went, I asked a recruit if they'd made up their quent. No, no, honest lad, for he talked like a king, Go with me thro' the street, and thee I will bring, Where if thou willint, thou may have a shillint. Ecod, I thowt this war rare news. He brout me to the plake, where to measuren their height, And if they bin height, there's now said about weight. I retched me and stretched me, and never did flinch. Says the mon, I believe thou med lad to an inch. I trow this I'll do, us 20 guineas now. Egod, Oldham, brave Oldham, for me. So fare thee well, Greenfield, a soldier I'm made, I'm getten new shoon, and a rare cockade. I'll fait out old England as hard as I can, Other French, Dutch, or Spanish, to me it's o' one. I'll make 'em to stare like a new started hare, And I'll tell 'em from Oldham I come. End of John o' Greenfield's Ramble. Section 81 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Thornehagh-Moor Woods. A celebrated Nottinghamshire poacher's song. Nottinghamshire was, in the olden day, famous in song for the achievements of Robin Hood and his merry men. In our times, the reckless daring of the heroes of the greenwood tree has descended to the poachers of the county, who have also found poets to proclaim and exult over their lawless exploits. And in Thornehagh-Moor Woods we have a specimen of one of these rude but mischievous and exciting lyrics. The air is beautiful and of a lively character, and will be found in popular music. There is it prevalent idea that the song is not the production of an ordinary ballad writer, but was written about the middle of the last century by a gentleman of rank and education, who, detesting the English game laws, adopted a too successful mode of inspiring the peasantry with a love of poaching. The song finds locality in the village of Thornehagh, in the hundred of Newark. The common, or moor fields, was enclosed in about 1797, and is now no longer called by the ancient designation. It contains 800 acres. The manor of Thornehagh is the property of the ancient family of Neville, who have a residence on the estate. In Thornehagh-Moor Woods, in Nottinghamshire, Fol de rol la rey, right full laddie dee. In Robin Hood's bold Nottinghamshire, Fol de rol la rey da. Three keepers' houses stood three square, and about a mile from each other they were. Their orders were to look after the deer, Fol de rol la rey da. I went out with my dogs one night. The moon shone clear, and the stars gave light. Over hedges and ditches and stales, with my two dogs close at my heels, to catch a fine buck in Thornehagh-Moor fields. Oh, that night we had bad luck. One of my very best dogs was stuck. He came to me both bleeding and lame. Right sorry was I to see the same. He was not able to follow the game. I searched his wounds, and found them slight. Some keeper had's done this out of spite. But I'll take my pike staff, that's the plan. I'll range the woods till I find the man, and I'll tan his hide right well, if I can. I ranged the woods and groves all night. I ranged the woods till it proved daylight. The very first thing that then I found Was a good fat buck that lay dead on the ground. I knew my dogs gave him his death wound. I hired a butcher to skin the game, Likewise another to sell the same. The very first buck he offered for sale Was to an old hag that sold bad ale, And she sent us three poor lads to gaol. The quarter sessions we soon espied, At which we all were for to be tried. The chairman laughed the matter to scorn, He said the old woman was all forsworn, And unto pieces she ought to be torn. The sessions are over, and we are clear, The sessions are over, and we sit here, Singing Fol de rol la rey da. The very best game I ever did see, Is a buck or a deer, but a deer for me. In Thornehagh-Moor Woods this night will be, Fol de rol la rey da. End of Thornehagh-Moor Woods.
Section 82 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Larry Wilson. The Lincolnshire Poacher. This very old ditty has been transformed into the dialects of Somersetshire, Northamptonshire, and Leicestershire, but it properly belongs to Lincolnshire. Nor is this the only liberty that has been taken with it. The original tune is that of a Lancashire air, well known as the Manchester Angel, but a florid modern tune has been substituted. The Lincolnshire Poacher was a favourite ditty with George IV, and it is said that he often had it sung for his amusement by a band of Berkshire ploughmen. He also commanded it to be sung at his harvest homes, but we believe it was always on such occasions sung to the playhouse tune, and not to the genuine music. It is often very difficult to trace the locality of Countryman's songs, in consequence of the license adopted by printers of changing the names of places to suit their own neighbourhoods. But there is no such difficulty about the Lincolnshire Poacher. The oldest copy we have seen, printed at York about 1776, reads Lincolnshire, and it is only in very modern copies that the venue is removed to other counties. In the Somersetshire version, the local vernacular is skilfully substituted for that of the original, but the deception may nevertheless be very easily detected. When I was bound apprentice in famous Lincolnshire, full well I served my master for more than 7 year, till I took up with poaching, as you shall quickly hear. Oh, 'tis my delight of a shiny night, in the season of the year. As me and my comrades were setting of a snare, 'twas then we seed the gamekeeper, for him we did not care. For we can wrestle and fight, my boys, and jump o'er everywhere. Oh, 'tis my delight of a shiny night, in the season of the year. As me and my comrades were setting 4 or 5, and taking on him up again, we caught the hare alive. We caught the hare alive, my boys, and through the woods did steer. Oh, 'tis my delight of a shiny night, in the season of the year. Bad luck to every magistrate that lives in Lincolnshire. Success to every poacher that wants to sell a hare. Bad luck to every gamekeeper that will not sell his deer. Oh, 'tis my delight of a shiny night, in the season of the year. End of the Lincolnshire Poacher.
Section 83 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Somersetshire Hunting Song. This following song, which is very popular with the peasantry of Somersetshire, is given as a curious specimen of the dialect still spoken in some parts of that county. Though the song is a genuine peasant's ditty, it is heard in other circles, and frequently roared out at hunting dinners. It is here reprinted from a copy communicated by Mr. Sandys. There's no pleasures can compare wi' the hunting o' the hare, in the morning, in fine and pleasant weather. With our hosses and our hounds, we will scamps it o'er the grounds, and sing traro huzza! And sing traro huzza! And sing traro brave boys, we will foller. And when poor puss arise, then away from us she flies, and we'll gives her, boys, we'll gives her one thundering and loud holler. With our hosses and our hounds, we will scamps it o'er the grounds, and sing traro huzza! And sing traro huzza! And sing traro brave boys, we will foller. And when poor puss is killed, we'll retires from the field, and we'll count boys, and we'll count on the same good wren to morrer. With our hosses and our hounds, we will scamps it o'er the grounds, and sing traro huzza! And sing traro huzza! And sing traro brave boys, we will foller. End of Somersetshire hunting song. Section 84 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Trotting Horse. The common copies of this old highwayman's song are very corrupt. We are indebted for the following version, which contains several emendations, to Mr. W. H. Ainsworth. The song, which may probably be referred to the age of Charles II, is a spirited specimen of its class. I can sport as fine a trotting horse as any swell in town. To trot you 14 miles an hour, I'll bet you 50 crown. He is such a one to bend his knees and tuck his haunches in, and throw the dust in people's face, and think it not a sin. For to ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. He has an eye like any hawk, a neck like any swan, a foot like as the stag's, the while his back is scarce a span. Kind nature hath so formed him, he is everything that's good, everything a man could wish, in bottom, bone, and blood. For to ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. If you drop therein, he'll nod his head and boldly walk away, while others kick and bounce about, to him it's only play. There never was a finer horse, went on English ground. He is rising 6 years old, and is all over right and sound. For to ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. If any frisk or milling match should call me out of town, I can pass the blades with white cockades, their whiskers hanging down. With large jack towels round their necks, they think they're first and fast. But with their gappers open wide, they find that they are last. Whilst I ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. If 60 miles I am from home, I darkness never mind. My friend is gone, and I am left, with pipe and pot behind. Up comes some saucy kiddie, a scampsman on the hot, but ere he pulls the trigger, I am off just like a shot. For I ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. If fortune e'er should fickle be, and wish to have again that which she so freely gave, I'd give it without pain. I would part with it most freely, and without the least remorse. Only grant to me what God hath gave, my mistress and my horse, that I may ride away, trot away, ree-fa-lar-la. End of The Trotting Horse.
Section 85 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Seeds of Love. This very curious old song is not only a favorite with our peasantry, but in consequence of having been introduced into the modern dramatic entertainment of The Loan of a Lover, has obtained popularity in higher circles. Its sweetly plaintive tune will be found in popular music. The words are quaint, but by no means wanting in beauty. They are no doubt corrupted, as we have derived them from common broadsides, the only form in which we have been able to meet with them. The author of the song was Mrs. Fleetwood Habergham of Habergham in the county of Lancaster. Ruined by the extravagance and disgraced by the vices of her husband, she soothed her sorrows, says Dr. Whitaker, by some stanzas yet remembered among the old people of her neighborhood. History of Whalley. Mrs. Habergham died in 1703 and was buried at Padiham. I sowed the seeds of love. It was all in the spring, in April, May, and June, likewise when small birds they do sing. My garden's well planted, with flowers everywhere. Yet I had not the liberty to choose for myself the flower that I loved so dear. My gardener, he stood by. I asked him to choose for me. He chose me the violet, the lily, and pink, but those I refused, all three. The violet I forsook, because it fades so soon. The lily and the pink I did o'erlook, and I vowed I'd stay till June. In June, there's a red rosebud, and that's the flower for me. But often have I plucked at the red rosebud till I gained the willow tree. The willow tree will twist, and the willow tree will twice. Oh, I wish I was in the dear youth's arms that once had the heart of mine. My gardener, he stood by. He told me to take great care, for in the middle of a red rosebud there grows a sharp thorn there. I told him I'd take no care till I did feel the smart, and often I plucked at the red rosebud till I pierced it to the heart. I'll make me a posy of hyssop, no other can I touch, that all the world may plainly see I love one flower too much. My garden is run wild. Where shall I plant anew? For my bed, that once was covered with thyme, is all overrun with rue. End of the Seeds of Love.
Section 86 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Larry Wilson. The Garden Gate. One of our most pleasing rural ditties. The air is very beautiful. We first heard it sung in Malhamdale, Yorkshire, by Willie Bolton, an old Dales minstrel, who accompanied himself on the Union pipes. The day was spent, the moon shone bright, the village clock struck 8. Young Mary hastened with delight unto the garden gate. But what was there that made her sad? The gate was there, but not the lad, which made poor Mary say and sigh, Was ever poor girl so sad as I? She traced the garden here and there, the village clock struck 9, which made poor Mary sigh and say, you shan't be mine. You promised to meet me at the gate at 8. You ne'er shall keep me, nor make me wait, for I'll let all such creatures see, they ne'er shall make a fool of me. She traced the garden here and there, the village clock struck 10. Young William caught her in his arms, no more to part again, for he'd been to buy the ring that day, and oh, he had been a long, long way. Then how could Mary cruel prove to banish the lad she so dearly did love? Up with the morning sun they rose, to church they went away, and all the village joyful were upon their wedding day. Now in cot by river's side William and Mary both reside, and she blesses the night that she did wait for her absent swain at the garden gate. End of The Garden Gate. Section 87 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Larry Wilson. The New-Mown Hay. This song is a village version of an incident which occurred in the Cecil family. The same English adventure has strangely enough been made the subject of one of the most romantic of Moore's Irish melodies, viz., "You Remember Helen, the Hamlet's Pride." As I walked forth one summer's morn, hard by a river's side, where yellow cowslips did adorn the blushing field with pride, I spied a damsel on the grass, more blooming than the May. Her looks the queen of love surpassed, among the new-mown hay. I said, "Good morning, pretty maid, how came you here so soon?" "To keep my father's sheep," she said, "the thing that must be done. While they are feeding 'mong the dew, to pass the time away, I sit me down to knit or sew among the new-mown hay." Delighted with her simple tale, I sat down by her side. With vows of love I did prevail on her to be my bride. In strains of simple melody she sung a rural lay. The little lambs stood listening by, among the new-mown hay. Then to the church they went with speed, and Hymen joined them there, no more her ewes and lambs to feed, for she's a lady fair. A lord he was that married her, to town they came straightway. She may bless the day he spied her there, among the new-mown hay. End of the New-Mown Hay.
Section 88 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Praise of a Dairy. This excellent old country song, which can be traced to 1687, is sung to the air of Packington's Pound, for the history of which see Popular Music. In praise of a dairy I purpose to sing, but all things in order, first God save the King, and the Queen, I may say, that every May day has many fair dairy maids all fine and gay. Assist me, fair damsels, to finish my theme, inspiring my fancy with strawberry cream. The first of fair dairy maids, if you'll believe, was Adam's own wife, our great grandmother Eve, who oft milked a cow, as well she knew how. Though butter was not then as cheap as 'tis now, she hoarded no butter nor cheese on her shelves, for butter and cheese in those days made themselves. In that age or time there was no horrid money, yet the children of Israel had both milk and honey. No queen you could see of the highest degree, but would milk the brown cow with the meanest she. Their lambs gave them clothing, their cows gave them meat, and in plenty and peace all their joys wore complete. Amongst the rare virtues that milk does produce, for 1,000 of dainties it's daily in use. Now a pudding I'll tell ye, and so can Maid Nelly, must have from good milk both the cream and the jelly. For a dainty fine pudding, without cream or milk, is a citizen's wife without satin or silk. In the virtues of milk there is more to be mustered. Oh, the charming delights both of cheesecake and custard! If to wakes you resort, you can have no sport, unless you give custards and cheesecake too for it. And what's the jack pudding that makes us to laugh, unless he hath got a great custard to quaff? Both pancake and fritter of milk have good store, but a Devonshire white pot must needs have much more. Of no brew you can think, though you study and wink, from the lusty sack posset to poor posset drink. But milk's the ingredient, though wine's ne'er the worse, for 'tis wine makes the man, though 'tis milk makes the nurse. End of the Praise of a Dairy.
Section 89 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Josh Kibbey. The Milkmaid's Life. Of this popular country song there are a variety of versions. The following, which is the most ancient, is transcribed from a black letter broadside in the Roxburgh collection entitled The Milkmaid's Life, or A Pretty New Ditty Composed and Penned, the Praise of the Milking-Pail to Defend, to a curious new tune called The Milkmaid's Dump. It is subscribed with the initials M.P., probably those of Martin Parker. You rural goddesses that woods and fields possess, assist me with your skill that may direct my quill more jocundly to express the mirth and delight, both morning and night, on mountain or in dale, of them who choose this trade to use, and through cold dews do never refuse to carry the milking pail. The bravest lasses gay live not so merry as they, and on a civil sort they make each other sport as they trudge on their way. Come fair or foul weather, they're fearful of nether, their courages never quail, and wet and dry though winds be high, and dark's the sky, they ne'er deny to carry the milking pail. Their hearts are free from care, they never will despair. Whatever them befall, they bravely bear out all, and fortune's frowns outdare. They pleasantly sing to welcome the spring, 'gainst heaven they never rail. If grass well grow, their thanks they show, and frost or snow, they merrily go along with the milking pail. Base idleness they do scorn, they rise very early in the morn, and walk into the field where pretty birds do yield brave music on every thorn. The linnet and thrush do sing on each bush, and the dulcet nightingale her note doth strain by jocund vein to entertain that worthy train which carry the milking pail. Their labour doth health preserve, no doctor's rules they observe, while others too nice in taking their advice look always as though they would starve. Their meat is digested, they ne'er are molested, no sickness doth them assail. Their time is spent in merriment, while limbs are lent they are content to carry the milking pail. Upon the 1st of May, with garlands fresh and gay, with mirth and music sweet, for such a season meet, they pass the time away. They dance away sorrow, and all the day thorough, their legs do never fail, for they nimbly their feet do ply, and bravely try the victory in honour of the milking pail. If any think that I do practise flattery, in seeking thus to raise the merry milkmaid's praise, I'll to them thus reply, it is their desert inviteth my art to study this pleasant tale, in their defence whose innocence and providence gets honest pence out of the milking pail. End of The Milkmaid's Life. Section 90 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Josh Kibbey. The Milking Pail. The following is another version of the preceding ditty, and is the one most commonly sung. Ye nymphs and sylvan gods, that love green fields and woods, when spring newly born herself does adorn with flowers and blooming buds, come sing in the praise, while flocks do graze on yonder pleasant vale, of those that choose to milk their ewes, and in cold dews with clouted shoes to carry the milking pail. You, goddess of the morn, with blushes you adorn, and take the fresh air, whilst linnets prepare a concert on each green thorn. The blackbird and thrush on every bush, and the charming nightingale, in merry vein their throats do strain, to entertain the jolly train of those of the milking pail. When cold bleak winds do roar, and flowers will spring no more, the fields that were seen so pleasant and green, with winter all candied o'er, see now the town lass with her white face, and her lips so deadly pale, but it is not so with those that go through frost and snow with cheeks that glow, and carry the milking pail. The country lad is free from fears and jealousy, whilst upon the green he oft is seen with his lass upon his knee. With kisses most sweet he doth her so treat, and swears her charms won't fail. But the London lass in every place, with brazen face despises the grace of those of the milking pail. End of The Milking Pail.
Section 91 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Summer's Morning. This is a very old ditty, and a favourite with the peasantry in every part of England, but more particularly in the mining districts of the north. The tune is pleasing but uncommon. R. W. Dixon, Esquire, of Seaton Carew, Durham, by whom the song was communicated to his brother for publication, says, "I have written down the above verbatim, as generally sung. It will be seen that the last lines of each verse are not of equal length. The singer, however, makes all right and smooth. The words underlined in each verse are sung 5 times. Thus, they advanced, they advanced, they advanced, they advanced, they advanced, me some money, 10 guineas and a crown. The last line is thus sung, "We'll be married," as the word is usually pronounced. We'll be married, 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 when I return again. The tune is given in popular music. Since this song appeared in the volume issued by the Percy Society, we have met with a copy printed at Devonport. The readings are in general not so good, but in one or two instances they are apparently more ancient, and are, consequently, here adopted. The Devonport copy contains 2 verses, not preserved in our traditional version. These we have incorporated in our present text, in which they form the third and last stanzas. It was one summer's morning, as I went o'er the moss, I had no thought of listing, till the soldiers did me cross. They kindly did invite me to a flowing bowl, and down They advanced, they advanced, they advanced, they advanced, they advanced me some money, 10 guineas and a crown. It's true my love has listed, he wears a white cockade, he is a handsome tall young man, besides a roving blade. He is a handsome young man, and he's gone to serve the king. Oh my very, oh my very, oh my very, oh my very, oh my very heart is breaking for the loss of him. My love is tall and handsome, and comely for to see, and by a sad misfortune, a soldier now is he. I hope the man that listed him may not prosper night nor day, for I wish that, 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 the Hollanders may sink him in the sea. Oh, may he never prosper, oh, may he never thrive, nor anything he takes in hand, so long as he's alive. May the very grass he treads upon, the ground refuse to grow, since he's been, since he's been, since he's been, since he's been, since he's been the only cause of my sorrow, grief, and woe. Then he pulled out a handkerchief, to wipe her flowing eyes. Leave off those lamentations, likewise those mournful cries. Leave off your grief and sorrow, while I march o'er the plain. We'll be married, we'll be married, we'll be married, we'll be married, we'll be married when I return again. Oh now my love has listed, and I for him will rove. I'll write his name on every tree that grows in yonder grove, where the huntsman he does hollow, and the hounds do sweetly cry, to remind me, to remind me, to remind me, to remind me, to remind me of my ploughboy until the day I die. End of the summer's morning.
Section 92 of Ancient Poems and Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Larry Wilson. Old Adam. We have had considerable trouble in procuring a copy of this old song, which used in former days to be very popular with aged people resident in the north of England. It has been long out of print and handed down traditionally. By the kindness, however, of Mr. S. Swindells, printer, Manchester, we have been favoured with an ancient printed copy, which Mr. Swindells observes he had great difficulty in obtaining. Some improvements have been made in the present edition for the recital of Mr. Effingham Wilson, who was familiar with the song in his youth. Both sexes give ear to my fancy, while in praise of dear woman I sing, confined not to Moll, Sue, or Nancy, but mates from a beggar to king. When old Adam first was created, and Lord of the universe crowned, his happiness was not completed until that an helpmate was found. He'd all things and food that were wanting to keep and support him through life. He'd horses and foxes for hunting, which some men love better than wife. He'd a garden so planted by nature man cannot produce in his life. But yet the all-wise great Creator still saw that he wanted a wife. Then Adam he laid in a slumber, and there he lost part of his side. And when he awoke with a wonder, beheld his most beautiful bride. In transport he gazed upon her, his happiness now was complete. He praised his bountiful donor, who thus had bestowed him a mate. She was not took out of his head, sir, to reign and triumph over man, nor was she took out of his feet, sir, by man to be trampled upon. But she was took out of his side, sir, his equal and partner to be. But as they're united in one, sir, the man is the top of the tree. Then not let the fair be despised by man, as she's part of himself. For woman by Adam was prized more than the whole globe full of wealth. Man without a woman's a beggar. Suppose the whole world he possessed, and the beggar that's got a good woman with more than the world he's blessed. End of Old Adam.
Section 93 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. Tobacco. This song is a mere adaptation of Smoking Spiritualized. The earliest copy of the abridgment we have been able to meet with is published in D'Urfey's Pills to Purge Melancholy, 1719. But whether we are indebted for it to the author of the original poem or to that bright genius, Tom D'Urfey, as Burns calls him, we are not able to determine. The song has always been popular. The tune is in popular music. Tobacco is but an Indian weed, grows green in the morn, cut down at eve. It shows our decay. We are but clay. Think of this when you smoke tobacco. The pipe that is so lily white, wherein so many take delight. It's broken with a touch. Man's life is such. Think of this when you take tobacco. The pipe that is so foul within, it shows man's soul is stained with sin. It doth require to be purred with fire. Think of this when you smoke tobacco. The dust that from the pipe doth fall, shows we are nothing but dust at all. For we came from the dust, and return we must. Think of this when you smoke tobacco. The ashes that are left behind do serve to put us all in mind that unto dust return we must. Think of this when you take tobacco. The smoke that does so high ascend shows that man's life must have an end. The vapour's gone, man's life is done. Think of this when you take tobacco. End of Tobacco. Section number 94 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. The Spanish Ladies. This song is ancient, but we have no means of ascertaining at what period it was written. Captain Marryat, in his novel of Poor Jack, introduces it, and said it is old. It is a general favourite, the air is plaintive, and in the minor key. Farewell, and adieu to you Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu to you ladies of Spain, for we've received orders for to sail for old England. But we hope in a short time to see you again. We'll rant and we'll roar like true British heroes. We'll rant and we'll roar across the salt seas until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly is 35 leagues. Then we hove our ship to, with the wind at sou' west, boys. We hove our ship to, for to strike soundings clear. We got soundings in 95 fathom, and boldly up the channel of old England our course we did steer. The first land we made it was called the Dead Man. Next Ramshead of Plymouth, start Portland and White, passed by Beachy, by Fairley and Dungeness, and hove our ship to off the South Foreland Light. Then a signal was made for the Grand Fleet to anchor, all in the Downs that night for to sleep. Then stood by your stoppers, let go your shank painters, haul all your clew garnets, stick out tacks and sheets. So let every man toss off a full bumper, let every man toss off his full bowls. We'll drink and be jolly, and drown melancholy. So here's a good health to all true-hearted souls. End of the Spanish Ladies. Section 95 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. Harry the Tailor. Traditional. The following song was taken down some years ago from the recitation of a country curate, who said he had learned it from a very old inhabitant of Methley, near Pontefract, Yorkshire. We have never seen it in print. When Harry the Tailor was 20 years old, he began for to look with courage so bold. He told his old mother he was not in jest, but he would have a wife as well as the rest. Then Harry next morning, before it was day, to the house of his fair maid took his way. He found his dear Dolly a making of cheese. Says he, "You must give me a buss, if you please." She up with a bowl, the buttermilk flew, and Harry the Tailor looked wonderful blue. "Oh, Dolly, my dear, what hast thou done? From my back to my breeks has thy buttermilk run?" She gave him a push, he stumbled and fell down from the dairy into the draw well. Then Harry the ploughboy ran amain, and soon brought him up in the bucket again. Then Harry went home like a drowned rat, and told his old mother what he had been at, with buttermilk bowl and a terrible fall. Oh, if this be called love, may the devil take all. End of Harry the Tailor. Section 96 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. Sir Arthur and Charming Mollee. Traditional. For this old Northumbrian song we are indebted to Mr. Robert Chambers. It was taken down from the recitation of a lady. The Sir Arthur is no less a personage than Sir Arthur Haslerigg, the governor of Tynemouth Castle during the protectorate of Cromwell. As noble Sir Arthur one morning did ride, with his hounds at his feet, and his sword by his side, he saw a fair maid sitting under a tree. He asked her name, and she said 'twas Mollee. "Oh, charming Mollee, you my butler shall be, to draw the red wine for yourself and for me." I'll make you a lady so high in degree, if you will but love me, my charming Molly. I'll give you fine ribbons, I'll give you fine rings, I'll give you fine jewels, and many fine things. I'll give you a petticoat flounced to the knee, if you will but love me, my charming Molly. I'll have none of your ribbons, and none of your rings, none of your jewels, and other fine things. And I've got a petticoat suits my degree, and I'll ne'er love a married man till his wife dee. Oh, charming Molly, lend me then your penknife, and I will go home, and I'll kill my own wife. I'll kill my own wife and my bairnies three, if you will but love me, my charming Molly. Oh, noble Sir Arthur, it must not be so. Go home to your wife, and let nobody know. For 7 long years I will wait upon thee, but I'll ne'er love a married man till his wife dee. Now 7 long years are gone and are past, the old woman went to her long home at last. The old woman died, and Sir Arthur was free, and he soon came a-courting to charming Molly. Now charming Molly in her carriage doth ride, with her hounds at her feet, and her lord by her side. Now all ye fair maids take a warning by me, and ne'er loved a married man till his wife dee. End of Sir Arthur and Charming Molly. Section 97 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. There was an old man who came over the lea. This is a version of the Baillie of Berwick, which will be found in the local historian's table book. It was originally obtained from Morpeth and communicated by W. H. Longstaff, Esquire, of Darlington, who says, "In many respects the Baillie of Berwick is the better edition. Still mine may furnish an extra stanza or two, and the ha 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 is better than hi ho, though the notes suit either version. There was an old man came over the lea, ha 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 ha, but I won't have him. He came over the lea, a-courting to me, with his grey beard newly shaven. My mother she bid me open the door. I opened the door, and he fell on the floor. My mother she'd bid me set him a stool. I set him a stool, and he looked like a fool. My mother she bid me give him some beer. I gave him some beer, and he thought it good cheer. My mother she bid me cut him some bread. I cut him some bread, and I threw 't at his head. My mother she bid me light him to bed. I lit him to bed, and wished he were dead. My mother she bid me tell him to rise. I told him to rise, and he opened his eyes. My mother she bid me take him to church. I took him to church and left him in the lurch, with his grey beard newly shaven." End of There Was an Old Man Who Came Over the Lea. Section 98 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. Why Should We Quarrel for Riches? A version of this very favourite song may be found in Ramsay's Tea Table Miscellany. Though a sailor's song, we question whether it is not a greater favourite with landsmen. The chorus is become proverbial, and its philosophy has often been invoked to mitigate the evils and misfortunes of life. How pleasant a sailor's life passes, who roam o'er the watery main! No treasure he ever amasses, but cheerfully spends all his gain. We're strangers to party and faction, to honour and honesty true, and would not commit a bad action for power or profit in view. Then why should we quarrel for riches, or any such glittering toys? A light heart and a thin pair of breeches will go through the world, my brave boys. The world is a beautiful garden, enriched with the blessings of life, the toiler with plenty rewarding, which plenty too often breeds strife. When terrible tempests assail us, and mountainous billows affright, no grandeur or wealth can avail us, but skilful industry steers right. Then why should we quarrel for riches, or any such glittering toys? A light heart and a thin pair of breeches will go through the world, my brave boys. The courtier's more subject to dangers, who rules at the helm of the state, than we that, to politics strangers, escape the snares laid for the great. The various blessings of nature in various nations we try. No mortals than us can be greater, who merrily live till we die. Then why should we quarrel for riches, or any such glittering toys? A light heart and a thin pair of breeches will go through the world, my brave boys. End of Why Should We Quarrel for Riches? Section 99 of Ancient Poems, Ballads and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Elaine Conway, England. The Merry Fellows, or He That Will Not Merry, Merry Be. The popularity of this older lyric, of which ours is the ballad printer's version, has been increased by the lively and appropriate music recently adapted to it by Mr. Holderness. The date of this song is about the era of Charles II. Now, since we're met, let's merry, merry be, in spite of all our foes, and he that will not merry be, we'll pull him by the nose. Let him be merry, merry there, while we're all merry, merry here, for who can know where he shall go, to be merry another year. He that will not merry, merry be, with a generous bowl and a toast, may he in Bridewell be shut up, and fast bound to a post. Let him be merry, merry there, while we're all merry, merry here, for who can know where he shall go, to be merry another year. He that will not merry, merry be, and take his glass in course, may he be obliged to drink small beer, near a penny in his purse. Let him be merry, merry there, while we're all merry, merry here, for who can know where he shall go, to be merry another year. He that will not merry, merry be, with a company of jolly boys, may he be plagued with a scolding wife, to confound him with her noise. Let him be merry, merry there, while we're all merry, merry here, for who can know where he shall go, to be merry another year. He that will not merry, merry be, with his sweetheart by his side, let him be laid in the cold churchyard, with a headstone for his bride. Let him be merry, merry there, while we're all merry, merry here, for who can know where he shall go, to be merry another year. End of The Merry Fellows, or He That Will Not Merry, Merry Be.
Section 100 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and the Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Old Man's Song. This ditty, still occasionally heard in the county districts, seems to be the original of the very beautiful song, The Downhill of Life. The Old Man's Song may be found in Playford's Theatre of Music, 1685, but we are inclined to refer it to an earlier period. The song is also published by D'Urfey, accompanied by two objectionable parodies. If I live to grow old, for I find I go down, let this be my fate in a country town. May I have a warm house, with a stone at the gate, and a cleanly young girl to rub my bald pate. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. In a country town by a murmuring brook, with the ocean at distance on which I may look, with a spacious plain without hedge or stile, and an easy pad nag to ride out a mile. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. With Horace and Plutarch, and one or two more of the best wits that lived in the age before, with a dish of roast mutton, not venison or teal, and clean through coarse linen at every meal. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. With a pudding on Sunday, and stout humming liquor, and remnants of Latin to welcome the vicar, with a hidden reserve of good Burgundy wine, to drink the king's health in as oft as I dine. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. When the days are grown short, it freezes and snows, may I have a coal fire as high as my nose, a fire which once stirred up with a prong will keep the room temperate all the night long. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. With a courage undaunted may I face my last day, and when I am dead, may the better sort say, in the morning when sober, in the evening when mellow, he's gone, and he leaves not behind him his fellow. May I govern my passions with absolute sway, and grow wiser and better as strength wears away, without gout or stone by a gentle decay. End of Old Man's Song. Section 101 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Robin Hood's Hill. Ritson speaks of a Robin Hood's Hill near Gloucestershire, and of a foolish song about it. Whether this is the song to which he alludes we cannot determine. We find it in Notes and Queries, where it is stated to be printed from a manuscript of the latter part of the last century, and described as a song well known in the district to which it refers. Ye bards who extol the gay valleys and glades, the jessamine bowers and amorous shades, who prospects so rural can boast at your will, yet never once mentioned sweet Robin Hood's Hill. This spot which of nature displays every smile, from famed Gloucester city is distance 2 mile, of which you a view may obtain at your will, from the sweet rural summit of Robin Hood's Hill, where a clear crystal spring does incessantly flow, to supply and refresh the fair valley below. No dog star's brisk heat diminished the rill, which sweetly doth prattle on Robin Hood's Hill. Here gazing around, you find objects still new, of Severn's sweet windings, how pleasing the view, whose stream with the fruits of blest commerce doth fill the sweet smelling vale beneath Robin Hood's hill. This hill, though so lofty, yet fertile and rare, few valleys can with it for herbage compare. Some far greater bard should his lyre and his quill direct to the praise of sweet Robin Hood's hill. Here lads and gay lasses in couples resort for sweet rural pastime and innocent sport. Sure pleasures ne'er flowed from gay nature or skill, like those that are found on sweet Robin Hood's hill. Had I all the riches of matchless Peru, to revel in splendor as emperors do, I'd forfeit the whole with a hearty good will, to dwell in a cottage on Robin Hood's hill. Then, poets, record my love theme in your lays. First view, then you'll own that 'tis worthy of praise. Nay, envy herself must acknowledge it still, that no spot's so delightful as Robin Hood's hill. End of Robin Hood's Hill. Section 102 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Begone, dull care. We cannot trace this popular ditty beyond the reign of James II, but we believe it to be older. The origin is to be found in an early French chanson. The present version has been taken down from the singing of an old Yorkshire yeoman. The third verse we have never seen in print, but it is always sung in the west of Yorkshire. Begone, dull care, I prithee begone from me. Begone, dull care, thou and I can never agree. Long while thou hast been tarrying here, and fain thou wouldest me kill. But I, faith, dull care, thou never shalt have thy will. Too much care will make a young man grey. Too much care will turn an old man to clay. My wife shall dance, and I shall sing, so merrily pass the day. For I hold it is the wisest thing to drive dull care away. Hence, dull care, I'll none of thy company. Hence, dull care, thou art no pair for me. We'll hunt the wild boar through the wood, so merrily pass the day. And then at night, o'er a cheerful bowl, we'll drive dull care away. End of Begone, Dull Care. Section 103 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Full merrily sings the cuckoo. The earliest copy of this playful song is one contained in a manuscript of the reign of James I, preserved amongst the registers of the Stationers' Company, but the song can be traced back to 1566. Full merrily sings the cuckoo upon the beechen tree. Your wives you well should look to, if you take advice of me. Cuckoo, cuckoo, alack the morn, when of married men, full 9 in 10, must be content to wear the horn. Full merrily sings the cuckoo upon the oaken tree, Your wives you well should look to, if you take advice of me. Cuckoo, cuckoo, alack the day, For married men, but now and then, Can't 'scape to bear the horn away. Full merrily sings the cuckoo upon the ashen tree, Your wives you well should look to, if you take advice of me. Cuckoo, cuckoo, alack the noon, when married men must watch the hen, or some strange fox will steal her soon. Full merrily sings the cuckoo upon the alder tree, Your wives you well should look to, if you take advice of me. Cuckoo, cuckoo, alack the eve, when married men must bid good den to such as horns to them do give. Full merrily sings the cuckoo upon the aspen tree, Your wives you well should look to, if you take advice of me. Cuckoo, cuckoo, alack the night, when married men, again and again, must hide their horns in their despite. End of Full merrily sings the cuckoo. Section 104 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, B.C. Jockey to the Fair. A version of this song, not quite so accurate as the following, was published from an old broadside in Notes and Queries, Volume 7, page 49, where it is described as a very celebrated Gloucestershire ballad. But Gloucestershire is not exclusively entitled to the honour of this genuine old country song, which is well known in Westmoreland and other counties. Jockey songs constitute a distinct and numerous class, and belong for the most part to the middle of the last century, when Jockey and Jenny were formidable rivals to the Strephons and Chloes of the artificial school of pastoral poetry. The author of this song, whoever he was, drew upon real rural life, and not upon its fashionable masquerade. We have been unable to trace the exact date of this ditty, which still enjoys in some districts a wide popularity. It is not to be found in any of several large collections of Ranelagh and Vauxhall songs, and other anthologies which we have examined. From the Christian names of the lovers, it might be supposed to be of Scotch or Border origin. But Jockey to the Fair is not confined to the north. Indeed, it is much better known, and more frequently sung, in the south and west. 'Twas on the morn of sweet May day, when nature painted all things gay, Taught birds to sing and lambs to play, and gild the meadows fair. Young Jockey, early in the dawn, arose and tripped it o'er the lawn. His Sunday clothes the youth put on, for Jenny had vowed away to run with Jockey to the fair. For Jenny had vowed away to run with Jockey to the fair. The cheerful parish bells had rung, with eager steps he trudged along, While flowery garlands round him hung, which shepherds used to wear. He tapped the window, "Haste, my dear!" Jenny impatient cried, "Who's there?" "'Tis I, my love, and no one near." "Step gently down, you've nought to fear, with Jockey to the fair." "Step gently down, you've nought to fear, would jockey to the fair. My dad and mam are fast asleep, my brother's up, and with the sheep, and will you still your promise keep, which I have heard you swear? And will you ever constant prove? I will, by all the powers above, and ne'er deceive my charming dove. Dispel these doubts, and haste, my love, would jockey to the fair. Dispel these doubts, and haste, my love, would jockey to the fair. Behold the ring, the shepherd cried, will Jenny be my charming bride? Let Cupid be our happy guide, and Hymen meet us there. Then Jockey did his vows renew, he would be constant, would be true. His word was pledged, away she flew, o'er cowslips tipped with balmy dew, with Jockey to the fair. O'er cowslips tipped with balmy dew, with Jockey to the fair. In raptures meet the joyful throng, their gay companions, blithe and young. Each join the dance, each raise the song, to hail the happy pair. In turns there's none so loud as they, they bless the kind, propitious day. The smiling morn of blooming May, when lovely Jenny ran away, with Jockey to the fair. When lovely Jenny ran away, with Jockey to the fair. End of Jockey to the Fair. Section 105 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Long Preston Peg. Mr. Birkbeck of 3 Planned House, Lintondale, in Craven, has favoured us with the following fragment. The tune is well known in the north, but all attempts on the part of Mr. Birkbeck to obtain the remaining verses have been unsuccessful. The song is evidently of the date of the first rebellion, 1715. Long Preston Peg to proud Preston went, to see the Scotch rebels, it was her intent. A noble Scotch lord, as he passed by, on this Yorkshire damsel, did soon cast an eye. He called to a servant, which on him did wait, Go down to yon girl, who stands in the gate, that sings with a voice so soft and sweet, and in my name do her lovingly greet. End of Long Preston Peg. Section 106 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Sweet Nightingale, or Down in those valleys below, an ancient Cornish song. This curious ditty, which may be confidently assigned to the 17th century, is said to be a translation from the ancient Cornish tongue. We first heard it in Germany, in the pleasure gardens of the Marienburg, on the Moselle. The singers were 4 Cornish miners, who were at that time, 1854, employed at some lead mines near the town of Zell. The leader or captain, John Stocker, said that the song was an established favourite with the lead miners of Cornwall and Devonshire, and was always sung on the pay days, and at the wakes, and that his grandfather, who died 30 years before, at the age of 100 years, used to sing the song and say that it was very old. Stocker promised to make a copy of it, but there was no opportunity of procuring it before we left Germany. The following version has been supplied by a gentleman in Plymouth, who writes: "I have had a great deal of trouble about the valley below. It is not in print. I first met with one person who knew one part, then with another person who knew another part, but nobody could sing the whole. At last, chance directed me to an old man at work on the roads, and he sung and recited it throughout, not exactly, however, as I sent it, for I was obliged to supply a little here and there, but only where a bad rhyme, or rather none at all, made it evident what the real rhyme was. I have read it over to a mining gentleman at Truro, and he says it is pretty near the way we sing it. The tune is plaintive and original. My sweetheart, come along, don't you hear the fond song? The sweet notes of the nightingale flow. Don't you hear the fond tale of the sweet nightingale, as she sings in those valleys below? So be not afraid to walk in the shade, nor yet in those valleys below, nor yet in those valleys below. Pretty Betsy, don't fail, for I'll carry your pail safe home to your cot as we go. You shall hear the fond tale of the sweet nightingale, as she sings in those valleys below. But she was afraid to walk in the shade, to walk in those valleys below, to walk in those valleys below. Pray let me alone, I have hands of my own. Along with you I will not go, to hear the fond tale of the sweet nightingale, as she sings in those valleys below. For I am afraid to walk in the shade, to walk in those valleys below, to walk in those valleys below. Pray sit yourself down with me on the ground, on this bank where sweet primroses grow. You shall hear the fond tale of the sweet nightingale, as she sings in those valleys below. So be not afraid to walk in the shade, nor yet in those valleys below, nor yet in those valleys below. This couple agreed, they were married with speed, and soon to the church they did go. She was no more afraid for to walk in the shade, nor yet in those valleys below, nor to hear the fond tale of the sweet nightingale, as she sung in those valleys below, as she sung in those valleys below. End of the Sweet Nightingale. Section 107 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. The Old Man and His Three Sons. This traditional ditty, founded upon the old ballad inserted ante page 124, is current as a nursery song in the north of England. There was an old man, and sons he had three. Wind well, Lion, good hunter, a friar he being one of the three. With pleasure he ranged the north country, for he was a jovial hunter. As he went to the woods some pastime to see, Wind well, Lion, good hunter, he spied a fair lady under a tree, sighing and moaning mournfully. He was a jovial hunter. "What are you doing, my fair lady?" Wind well, Lion, good hunter, I am frightened, the wild boar he will kill me. He has worried my lord, and wounded 30, as thou art a jovial hunter. Then the friar he put his horn to his mouth, Wind well, lion, good hunter, and he blew a blast, east, west, north, and south, and the wild boar from his den he came forth, unto the jovial hunter. End of The Old Man and His Three Sons. Section 108 of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. A Begging We Will Go. The authorship of this song is attributed to Richard Broome, he who once performed a servant's faithful part for Ben Jonson, in a black letter copy in the Bagford collection, where it is entitled The Beggar's Chorus, in the jovial crew, to an excellent new tune. No such chorus, however, appears in the play, which was produced at the Cockpit in 1641, and the probability is, as Mr. Chappell conjectures, that it was only interpolated in the performance. It is sometimes called the Jovial Beggar. The tune has been from time to time introduced into several ballad operas, and the song, says Mr. Chappell, who publishes the air in his Popular Music, is the prototype of many others, such as A Bowling We Will Go, A Fishing We Will Go, A Hawking We Will Go, and A Fishing We Will Go. The last named is still popular with those who take delight in hunting, and the air is now scarcely known by any other title. There was a jovial beggar, he had a wooden leg, lame from his cradle, and forced for to beg, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. A beg for his oatmeal, another for his salt, and a pair of crutches, to show that he can halt, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. A bag for his wheat, another for his rye, a little bottle by his side, to drink when he's a dry, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. 7 years I begged, for my old master wild, he taught me to beg, when I was but a child, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. I begged for my master, and got him store of pelf, but now, Jove be praised, I'm begging for myself, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. In a hollow tree I live and pay no rent, Providence provides for me, and I am well content, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. Of all the occupations, a beggar's life the best, for whene'er he's weary, he'll lay him down and rest, and a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. I fear no plots against me, I live in open cell, then who would be a king, when beggars live so well? And a begging we will go, will go, will go, and a begging we will go. End of A Begging We Will Go. End of Ancient Poems, Ballads, and Songs of the Peasantry of England.